Okay, thank you. A quick announcement before the regular council meeting. The council met in closed session tonight, conference with legal counsel on one piece of litigation, Marcus Hill Colbert versus City of Roseville. The council was briefed on the case, and there is no reportable action. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roseville City Council meeting and the Housing Successor meeting of October 19th, 2022. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask our clerk to please read the roll.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Haldeshelt?
Here.
Councilmember Alvord?
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza is excused from tonight's meeting. Councilmember Rakucci? And Mayor Bernasconi.
Here, thank you. I would like to ask Jill Geller, our Director of Park, Recreation, and Libraries, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, will you please announce the meeting procedures for this evening?
Yes, thank you, everyone, and welcome to the City of Roseville's October 19th, 2022 City Council meeting. If you're in the public and have not already picked up an agenda, please feel free to do so. The items are on your left at the end of this table. Additionally, if any member of the public wishes to address the City Council, they may do so. Speakers will have 3 minutes under public comment to speak on any issue that is not listed on tonight's agenda and within the jurisdiction of the City Council. The Brown Act does prohibit the City Council from having a back and forth conversation or from taking actions on items that are not listed on tonight's agenda. Additionally, if a speaker would like to address the City Council on an item that is listed on tonight's agenda, they will have a total of 5 minutes. 25 minutes are allotted for public comment. At this time, Madam Mayor, we're ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you. We will move into item 5.1, which is a proclamation for Manufacturing Awareness and Appreciation Month of October 2022. I will go to the podium, ask Courtney Camp and Michelle Stofan to meet me there. Hello. Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. The City Council would like to present a proclamation this evening for Manufacturing and Awareness Appreciation Month. Courtney Camp is here. Are you Courtney? Okay. HR Manager for Harrison Bruno, and Michelle Stofan is here. She's the VP of Gardner Products. We have 2 of Roseville's local manufacturers with us this evening. Manufacturing Day is celebrated nationally on the first Friday of the month to showcase manufacturing facilities in an effort to educate the community about manufacturing career opportunities. The City of Roseville is home to over 220 diverse manufacturers, and manufacturers provide 40,000 jobs in the Sacramento region and almost 13 million jobs nationwide. Manufacturing is a very important industry in the United States, contributing nearly $2.7 trillion to the economy, and for every dollar spent, another $2.68 is added to the economy for every manufacturing worker hired. There are another 4 employees hired in the adjacent market. The average manufacturing worker in the United States earns $92,000 a year, including pay and benefits. And over the next decade, nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs will likely be needed, and 2 million are expected to go unfilled due to the skills gap. So increasing the exposure of manufacturing careers within the local area to students, educators, business owners, media, and politicians is needed to bridge the gap in the skilled labor shortage and create viable career pathways for students and adults. So on behalf of the City Council, I'd like for you to know that we appreciate the local manufacturers, and you are to be commended for the commitment to the betterment of the City of Roseville. So the floor is yours if you would like to say a few words, and thank you again for being here. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Michelle Stofan, Vice President, also Legal Advisor for Garner Products, and we have been manufacturing in the Roseville area for over 18 years. Our business has been in existence, though, for a little over 60 years, and we manufacture data security equipment. We're very unique in the manufacturing industry, where we do everything in-house, from engineering, manufacturing our own parts, to assembling them and then shipping them out from our facility here in Roseville. And we're a small business. We only have 30 employees. Because of this Sacramento Valley Manufacturing Association, it has allowed us to no longer feel like an island. We existed in this industry or in this market here for over 30 years without knowing Harrison Bruno, the company that Courtney works for, that's right down the street from us. And since being in this organization, we've been networking with local government organizations, with fellow businesses, with the school districts, and it has created this wonderful situation where there's a lot of interaction and communication about our manufacturing needs for the labor force. It also has been, the Placer County has been also absolutely wonderful in helping to foster manufacturing. At the beginning of the pandemic, my company is eternally grateful for your economic department, because we were not sure whether or not we could remain open. And I was able to contact Sherry Conway, who was at the time the economic advisor. My understanding, she was the director. She gave us a lot of guidance. She gave me her personal cell phone. We were communicating with her on a regular basis to make sure that we could remain open, follow appropriate guidelines, and we only were shut down for one day. I attribute that greatly to the communication that we had with the local government. And because of that, our entire workforce remained open, prospering during the entire pandemic. And we actually grew during that time. We were hiring a lot of people that were laid off. And so it's this whole networking and this relationship that we are building with all the local government and then businesses and academic institutions that's really allowing us to prosper. And I greatly appreciate you recognizing the contribution that manufacturers do to our economy here.
Thank you.
And I'll be brief, but I'm Courtney Camp. I'm the HR director with Harrison Bruno International, and we are an international company. We have a worldwide customer base, but we do all of our manufacturing and engineering in Roseville, and we're very proud to be U.S.-based and Roseville-based. I just want to second what Michelle has said about the support that we get from Placer County and Roseville specifically. It has been really greatly appreciated. One thing that we do a lot is we also partner with education in the area. And we get a lot of support from the high schools and from the colleges. We do internship programs, and we do tours, and we go speak, and it's a really nice marriage of needs and wants, and we are able to foster that love of manufacturing and then hire those students that might come through from a tour in their later life, and it's been awesome to see, and we really just appreciate the marriage and the partnership with the City of Roseville and Placer County in general.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for being in Roseville. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Now is the time for anyone to come forward and speak to any item that is not on the agenda.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Berlusconi, members of the council, and citizens of Roseville. My name is Jane Adams, and I am here tonight representing the American Academy for Park and Recreation Administration. I'm here tonight to present Roseville's finalist award in our 2022 National Gold Medal Award for your Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. The National Gold Medal Award is the premier award in the park and recreation profession, honoring agencies and communities throughout the United States that exceed industry standards and establish a higher standard for delivering public park and recreation services. The Gold Medal Finalist Award recipients measure the impact and benefits of their services while addressing the community needs through the involvement of citizens, staff, and elected officials into all planning processes. Roseville's Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department has demonstrated efforts addressing conservation, equity, and health and wellness. Additionally, the department demonstrates excellence in long-range planning, putting vision into action each year. Creating an innovative culture has also become a habit for Roseville. We applaud and congratulate Roseville's Department of Parks, Recreation, and Libraries for their outstanding accomplishments. The American Academy, a bit about us, is the governing organization for the National Gold Medal Award. The Academy consists of 125 distinguished practitioners and educators in the field who are committed to the advancement of parks and recreation. Rooted in the desire to advance knowledge, encourage scholarly efforts, and provide services to enhance the profession, the Academy embraces the opportunity to raise the bar and enhance the quality of parks and recreation to the local communities through our National Gold Medal Award program. Roseville's Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department truly represents the best of the best. Since the award's inception in 1965 in Class 3, which is population 75,000 to 150, there has only been approximately 300 agencies named a gold medal finalist. Your department has demonstrated significant success in the design and delivery of superior services. Roseville's Parks and Recreation Department is now in the upper echelon of 8,000 plus park and recreation agencies across the country. As a Sacramento resident, I have long envied Roseville residents for their outstanding facilities, parks, trails, sports and aquatic facilities, your Native American Museum, your libraries, 19 on-campus after-school and before-school programs, and your many special events. 84% of Roseville residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park. That is a truly amazing high standard that you have set. I believe Roseville's dedicated team of park and recreation professionals live the mission of the department, which is to enhance lives and the community by providing exceptional experiences. Roseville received the finalist award in 2021, and in 1972, it received the grand plaque. I did a bit of research and learned that only 18 California cities have received the finalist award since the program began in 1965. Roseville is in good company with the cities of Long Beach, Santa Barbara, San Jose, Anaheim, and Glendale, just to name a few. This finalist award was presented to the department at a special reception in conjunction with the National Recreation and Park Association Conference on September 19th in Phoenix, Arizona. I am delighted to be a part of this local acknowledgement of this prestigious award. I also extend congratulations from Northern California's Musco Lighting, Representative Bob Crookham, who was unable to be here tonight, as Musco Lighting is our corporate sponsor of this national award program. So on behalf of the American Academy for Park and Recreation Administration and Musco Lighting and the National Recreation and Park Association, we congratulate you on your success. And here is your award.
May we come down and take a photo with you and the award before you leave too? Can the council join me down by the podium? Do you want us to be up there?
Hi, how are you? Are there any Parks and Rec director, former Parks and recovering Parks and Rec director?
I can take the photo out. All right.
All right, Bruce, that was too late.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Is there anyone else this evening that would like to make a public comment on any item that is not on the agenda? Now is your time. We also do public comment at the end of the meeting as well. So if there's no other individual that'd like to come forward, I'll close public comment and we'll move on to the consent calendar, and our clerk can announce the procedures for approving the consent calendar.
Thank you. So items on consent are considered routine in nature, and will only be discussed if a member of the public, staff, or the city council chooses to remove an item for further discussion. At this time, for consent calendar, we have items 7.1 through 7.16. However, staff has requested that item 7.9 be pulled and item 7.11 also be pulled. Item 7.9 to be moved to the November 2nd meeting, and item 7.11 to be determined for a later date, a later city council meeting. With that, we do have 7.1, 7.8, 7.10, 7.12 through 7.16 to be approved for tonight. At this time, is there any member of the public that would like to pull any other item for further discussion?
Agenda item 7.5.
Thank you.
And just a point of clarification, you got that backwards. 7.9 is being pulled. That will be renoticed at a later date, no date certain.
Okay.
And 7.11 is being continued to November 2nd.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the clarification. That's duly noted. Is there an-
And one more point of clarification. Let's see.
Never mind.
There is no. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
So again, 7.1 through 7.8, 7.10, 7.12 through 7.16 is on the consent calendar to be approved by a motion of the city council.
So moved.
Second.
But 7.5 was just pulled, though.
Right.
Yes, with 7.5 being pulled for further discussion. Do you want to approve that? Or do you want to do that separately?
It's approved now. I think we have a motion.
Second.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry. Motion was by Councilmember Elverd with a second by Councilmember Rakucci, correct?
No, it was Vice Mayor Haldeshelt.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Alvord.
Okay. Thank you. Haldeshelt with Elverd. Thank you very much. Motion again, Vice Mayor Haldeshelt with the second by Councilmember Elverd. Can I get a roll call? We'll start off with Vice Mayor Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza is excused. Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. And we'll pull item 7.5 for further discussion. So 7.5 is the Parkside at Sierra Vista Community Facilities, District Number 1, Public Facilities, intent to form.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. Richard Wuckmer, a confused citizen, but I believe I'm in good company today because today I'm going to lay out why the agenda item 7.5 before you is intentionally confusing both the citizens of Roseville and the city government, and why you should vote no today. So today you're being asked to vote on the establishment of a named community facilities district, CFD. A CFD is a tax-liable financial entity that exists in the government documents and is used to identify and track public debt repayment in accordance with Mellerue's laws on taxation. Now, the important point from that last sentence is that CFDs are used by the city government for official tracking and identification purposes. I have no issue with the proposed $15 million in this resolution, but I do have a problem with the name of the resolution. The resolutions before you are named the Parkside at Sierra Vista Community Facilities District Number 1, and that is the problem. Roseville already has a historic Sierra District community. Another Adding another one only causes confusion. We've already seen this confusion once before at the city level. In 2008, the City of Roseville passed Resolution 18-519 titled, "A Resolution of Formation of Community Facilities District and Future Annexation Area." In this resolution, area was set aside for a future Sierra Vista CFD. Now, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you didn't know at the time that you voted that there already was a Sierra Vista in Roseville. Now, why do I say that? Because the City of Roseville certainly didn't. The city mistakenly sent information from the Sierra Vista neighborhood to the Sierra Vista Neighborhood Association and residents in the historic Sierra Vista neighborhood, informing them of the upcoming CFD votes instead of where they were supposed to go in the west. This caused a lot of confusion 4 years ago. And here we are now, about to repeat the same mistakes again. So I ask this council not to double down on your mistakes. Do not approve this resolution as written. 3 of the 4 of you sitting here today made the mistake 4 years ago and stripped the historic community of its identity and allowed a multi-million-dollar developer to steal that name and appropriate it for itself. This mistake has already been made. The developer has hung signs and proclaimed themselves the true Sierra Vista. And you have helped them to tear down the signs created by the existing residents in our historic Sierra Vista community earlier this year. But please, do not continue to compound on your previous errors. This resolution presents itself as an opportunity to fix this error going forward. So I ask the council to consider and vote against resolutions 22-400 and 22-401 before you. A no vote will cost the government nothing, not even time lost for the planning or development purposes. I will quote from resolution 22-400 after the preamble, paragraph number 3, the last sentence. City Council directs the city clerk to certify the adoption in accordance with Section 3111 of the California Streets and Highway Code within 15 days of the date of adoption of this resolution and no event later than 15 days prior to the public hearing provided herein. The resolution 22-400 then goes on to set the date of the public hearings to be December 7th of this year in paragraph number 11. As you can see, this means you can reject the resolution today, allow for the appropriate name changes to be made, and approve this document when we next meet together in 14 days from now on November 2nd. This still gives the city clerk ample time to file the appropriate paperwork with the state and still meet the original deadline of 15 days. But even if the city clerk needs the full 15 days for paperwork, then it will still be filed with more than 15 days before September 7th, which is the public hearing, December 7th, which is the public hearing. Look, I'm a realist. I acknowledge that there are already city planning documents that label this new area Sierra Vista. But my argument is that planning documents are substantively different than city resolutions and ordinances. Planning documents are designed to be changed and updated with the times, but resolutions are meant to be permanent and not easily changed once passed. Do not allow the confusion to propagate from our planning documentation to our financial paperwork. I believe a name change and clarification will not only help alleviate confusion for the future city bureaucrats and Roseville residents, but I believe changing this name will also help the people outside of Roseville too. Go ahead and take out your smartphone, open up your map apps. Search for Sierra Vista, Roseville, California. Go ahead and do it right now. For those of you watching at home, you can pause the video and test that out right now. Nowhere in this, you'll find out that every mapping app shows Sierra Vista in Roseville exists to the east of here. You will see that nowhere near this proposed CFD to the west. So a new family in the early stages of buying a brand new home in Roseville may want to see the street view of the local neighborhood online. If they do this, they will find themselves surrounded by homes which were built over 100 years ago. They will see that their new home, or they will falsely assume that their new home is surrounded by sidewalks that were built in the 1940s, and some places don't even have sidewalks.
Sir, can I ask you to wrap up your comments? You're over your time, please.
Absolutely. So I think ultimately the simple name change and clarification will also help the developer help themselves. So we don't want to alleviate any more of this confusion. So I ask you to vote no on this and come back and reconvene next council meeting to talk about it.
Okay, we're absent. Our clerk went to check on something. We need a motion?
Yeah. If there's any questions, I could certainly.
For any public comment on any other
Open it to
building?
public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment on this item? We're at 7.5. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the council for further deliberation. Michelle, can I call for a motion or take the roll, or?
Where's the city
Can I ask a
flag?
few questions? And
Go ahead.
in the name of the CFD, it says Parkside at Sierra Vista. What does Parkside represent?
I'm sorry, Councilman Albert. Please ask that again.
I know you. In the actual resolution, it says Parkside at Sierra Vista. What does Parkside represent?
Dennis, do you want to take that one? I know, but I'd rather be sure.
This is a subdivision of 4 rent homes that are being built by the developer JMC, and that's the name of the community that they've established. And so we
So
attached.
Parkside is an actual place in the, quote, new Sierra Vista, not historic Sierra Vista.
Correct.
Who will see this CFD on their tax bill? Won't it just be that area?
That's correct.
So historic Sierra Vista will not see this on their tax bill.
That's correct.
And I think we officially renamed the neighborhood Historic Sierra Vista because of the admitted total mess up in however we plan this, which I thought was horrible too, but it's done. We try to separate it by saying that's Historic Sierra Vista and the others Sierra Vista.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so
And it is a Sierra Vista specific plan.
That's correct. That the
And this
council-
is a subdivision within the Sierra Vista specific plan.
Correct.
And if I took out my smartphone right now, I might violate something. But I have Googled it and found that that's called Woodbridge Park, where the historic Sierra Vista is now. So, which is a neighborhood association name, correct?
I don't know the
Okay.
answer to that.
That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments or questions of council?
I can read the motion.
Okay, thank you.
The motion before council is to adopt resolution number 22-400, a resolution of intention of the City Council of the City of Roseville to form a community facilities district and levy a special tax in Parkside at Sierra Vista Community Facilities District Number 1, Public Facilities, to finance the acquisition and construction of certain public facilities in and for such community facilities district, and adopt resolution number 22-401, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Roseville of intention to incur bonded indebtedness to finance the acquisition and construction of certain public facilities in and for Parkside at Sierra Vista Community Facilities District Number 1, Public Facilities. And with that, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Haldeshot and a second from Councilmember Albert. I don't know her order, so I'm just going to go down the line. Councilmember Haldeshot,
Yes.
Councilmember Albert,
yes.
Councilmember Ricucci, and Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes,
Okay. Motion
very much.
passes unanimously.
got it. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, we will move on to our resolutions. Item 8.1 is 6382 Phillip Road, option and purchase and sale agreement adjustment. And we'll be hearing from our Economic Development Project Manager, Robert Klein, and Economic Development Manager, or Director, Melissa Anguiano. Good evening. Hi.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi, members of the council. Rob Klein, Project Manager in the Economic Development Department. Tonight, the request before you is to approve a second amendment to the Memorandum of Option and Purchase and Sale Agreement with Panattoni Development Company for property located at 6382 Phillip Road. So the site, located at 6382 Phillip Road, is approximately 240-acre vacant greenfield parcel with about 176 acres of developable land. Since 2006, following an analysis of the property, it has been envisioned that the site would be a future industrial park and major job center for the city that would yield property and sales tax to the city. The purchase and sale agreement, or on March 3rd, 2021, City Council approved this memorandum of option and purchase and sale agreement with Panattoni to entitle, sell, and develop a future job center known as the Roseville Industrial Park. The purchase and sale agreement initially allowed Panattoni 1 year, 12 months to conduct its due diligence with respect to the property and complete the entitlement process. And in November 2021, City Council approved a first amendment to the purchase and sale agreement, which extended that due diligence period through November 2022. The original due diligence period in the purchase and sale agreement and the First Amendment was very aggressive. Considering this is a greenfield site, the project requires several major project entitlements, including a general plan amendment, rezone, tentative parcel map, major project permit stage 1, major project permit stage 2, tree permit, and a development agreement. Additionally, the scope of studies required, such as traffic, water, etc., for this type of site have exceeded what was anticipated, and although the purchase and sale agreement allows Panattoni 2 60-day extensions, the extensions are still not sufficient to complete this entitlement process. This second amendment aligns with the due diligence period with the issuance of entitlements, which provides adequate time and would make it consistent with other city purchase and sale agreements or previous city purchase and sale agreements. The amendment also better aligns the due diligence period with the first phase option period. Since once Panattoni obtains all entitlements, they have 180 days from the date entitlements are issued to acquire the first portion of the property consisting of a minimum of 35 acres. All other terms and provisions within the purchase and sale agreement remain unchanged. Now, quickly, I'd like to provide a quick update on the project status. On May 25th, 2021, Panattoni submitted a formal application for project-related entitlements to Development Services. The development agreement is in preliminary stages of review. The environmental impact report is expected to be released for a 45-day public review period this month, so in October of 2022. And based on the current schedule, staff is anticipating that the entitlement project would be brought forth to Planning Commission and City Council in spring of 2023. I'd also like to highlight some of the public outreach that's occurred and some of the future opportunities as we move through the process. Notice of application was posted to the Arcona webpage, and the city's Projects of Interest webpage has a section dedicated to this entitlement project. The project was presented to the Fitiment Farms and Westbrook Neighborhood Association's joint virtual meeting in September of 2021, and the city held a public scoping meeting for the notice of preparation of the environmental impact report in July of 2021. Of course, there'll be future opportunities such as a public hearing throughout the 45-day public review period, which is expected to occur later this month, an additional community outreach meeting, as well as opportunities for public to comment when the entitlement project is brought to Planning Commission and to City Council early next year. Now, quickly, I'd like to just note some of the project economic and fiscal impacts that are relevant here today. So the proposed project is still consistent with City Council goals, but also initiatives outlined in the Economic Development Strategic Plan, which was adopted from Council last meeting on October 5th. The most recent market or industrial market report issued from CBRE was released in the second quarter of 2022 and indicated that the Roseville-Rockland submarket has a vacancy rate for industrial at 1%. Recent locates to Roseville for industrial users. Some of those would include Penumbra, McKesson, Restaurant Depot, Amazon, and most recently Quick Quack Car Wash. Some of those are tenants for Panattoni as well. Greater Sacramento Economic Council reports that 80% of relocation or major expansion inquiries looking at the region are seeking some sort of industrial space. Now, I say that because the Roseville Industrial Park will offer approximately 2.4 million square feet of industrial space. And this will allow Roseville to remain highly competitive in recruiting and expanding jobs going forward in this targeted industry sector. Within 180 days from the date entitlements are issued by the city, the first phase option period of at least 35 acres will result in a minimum of approximately $1.2 million to the city, and Panattoni will purchase the entire property in phases over 10 years. The increment of acreage for the phases will be at least 35 acres, and the appraised market value used for the purchase of the initial phase will be adjusted upward each phase, so that cost will go up. So in closing, staff is recommending that City Council adopt a resolution authorizing City Manager to execute the second amendment to the Memorandum of Option and Purchase and Sale Agreement with Panattoni Development Company for the property located at 6382 Phillip Road. This concludes the presentation this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have Abby Wertheim here from Panattoni, who's happy to address any questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Does the council have any questions of staff?
I just wanted to ask if you recall when we originally had the presentation, there was an economic impact amount that was given, which is way beyond this $1.2 million for the sale of the property. I was wondering, do you have those figures? I'd like to be reminded of what that impact would be from this whole facility.
I don't have the figures here in front of me, but it is significant between the sales tax, the property tax that's generated, as well as just the jobs and different folks that can be here to shop. So outside of just the park, those numbers are significant. Abby, if you'd like to.
Good evening, members of council, mayor. Thank you for hearing this item tonight. So we did do an initial study with a local economic planning service and solutions, and they looked at the job growth that would come to Roseville Industrial Park, and they estimated, based on that job growth and then that trickle effect, that there'd be about $1 billion annual impact of economic impact, and then a one-time $1 billion construction impact. That's looking at the total build out of the project, so that construction impact would come in phases as the project gets built over time.
I just wanted to ask that because I knew the $1.2 million for the sale of the property was nothing compared to the future for our city. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, Abby, you said $1 billion annually?
Annually.
At full construction, at the full build out of the project. It includes the multiplier effect, not unlike to the podium. It includes the multiplier effect, not unlike was spoken of for the manufacturing announcement and recognition that was made tonight. So each employee also has a multiplier economic effect.
So the first $1 billion is at the 241 or 176 acres, which is somewhere down the road, significantly down the road.
So the $1 billion is to the full at construction, the construction impact, those one-time impact.
Okay.
And then at full completion, there's $1 billion, almost $1 billion a year.
Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure I understood that.
Any other questions of council for staff before I open up to public comment? Okay, we'll open up to public comment. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak to this item and come forward now? Good evening.
Mayor, members of council, Scott Powell, the Executive Vice President of the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and starting to feel like a Roseville City staff member as well. So I've actually worked for, I think, 5 municipalities. I think I've spoken to this board almost as much as any of the others that have employed me in my past. So, but was here 2 weeks ago to talk about your strategic plan, and it's great to see an agenda item 2 weeks later that directly aligns with that strategic plan. So I'm here to speak in full support. The Greater Sacramento Economic Council supported this project from when it was first contemplated by staff, provided a letter of support. I believe we testified at the beginning at the First Amendment, and now it's great to be in person to testify in support for the Second Amendment as well. And as somebody that's not from California, that's worked in 5 states, I'll say in California, development's hard. How long it takes, the amount of time and energy that has to go in to make a development is extremely difficult. And to see the work that Panettone has put in and getting such a quality developer like Panettone to bring forth that development is a major asset. So to give them that actual time to finish up those entitlements, is vital to the region. So as Rob mentioned, CBRE says for the Roseville submarket, it's 1%. If you look at it for the region, which we do, it's at 3%. Nationwide, it's closer to 4%. But you also look at how much industrial land is actually underdeveloped in our region. It's the lowest it's been since 2016. So we are in vital need of those industrial projects. So our pipeline last year of new projects, so just looking at the stuff we brought in last year, 90% of it was industrial. And we know part of it is the office market's waiting for somebody to figure it out so everybody else can follow the lead. But until that happens, we're seeing a huge amount of industrial interest coming through. So, getting site readiness. We're actually seeing reports now where labor has always been the top factor. Now site readiness is starting to to meet it or exceed it. So not only need the labor force, you need those sites at the ready to be developed, because if they can't be brought online, there's no opportunity in which to bring those high-wage jobs like a Penumbra and many others that Panettone has brought to the region. So I think it's vitally important to see more of these type of projects come online and be ready for those type of high-wage, high-tech jobs that this council has said even 2 weeks ago that is paramount to the success of the region. Because as we learned today, for those of us that were over at the Placer Valley, you can't have a great community without a great business community, and this is vital to having a great business community. So I urge you to support this and to continue forward and to get this off the ground and in. And I'll be happy to also answer any questions. I've done economic impact models for 15 years of my career, so I can talk to you ad nauseum if you have further questions on that as well. And with that, I will yield the rest of my time. Thank you guys very much, and have a great evening.
Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to comment on this item? You come forward now. Okay, close public comment, bring it back to the council for further deliberations. Vice Mayor Haddishelt?
Yeah, Rob, is this 45-day extension, or is the EIR covering the entire property or just the initial purchase of the 30? Okay.
It's covering the entire property.
Okay, thanks. Just needed that clarification. Thanks, Mayor.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Thank you. So the motion on the floor is the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 22-402, consenting to the inclusion of the properties within the territory of the city in the CSCDA open space programs, authorizing the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to accept applications from property owners.
That's the wrong
Is this the wrong one?
8.1.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were ahead of me. Oh, I apologize. Thank you. The motion is the City Council will consider adopting Resolution 22395, approving a Second Amendment to option and purchase and sale agreement by and between the City of Roseville and PDC Sacramento LPIV LLC, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'm going to go with Councilmember Rakucci. Can I get a second? Thank you, Councilmember Alvord. We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Rakucci with a second by Councilmember Alvord. We'll start off our roll call with Vice Mayor Haddishelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
The record will reflect that Councilmember Mendoza is excused from tonight's meeting. And next will have Councilmember Rakucci and Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 8.2, Property Assess Clean Energy PACE Programs Financing Authorization. We have our electric customer program supervisor, David Bradford, and our, let's see, who else we have? All right, let's do it. Thought Dan was on here, but we don't get Dan. Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi, council members. I'm Eric Campbell, Roseville Electric. I'm joined by David Bradford, our customer program supervisor, and also Chris Peterson. He's the Senior VP of Government Affairs for Fortify Financial. We have a short presentation on our clean energy funding program. David's going to walk you through that. There's actually a recommendation at the end of it, and we'll, of course, answer any questions you have at that time. David?
Excellent. Thank you. Mayor Berlusconi, council members, want to bring you up to date tonight on the evolution and the updates that have been made to PACE programs over the years. Want to start off with a little bit of background information and definition, if you will, for PACE programs. PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. This is a financing mechanism that allows for residents and business owners to make upgrades to their properties, specifically for energy efficiency, electrification, water conservation, and renewable energy. This type of lending was authorized back in 2008 with California Assembly Bill 811. And at that time, it was specifically designed to provide funding for options for building enhancements that supported renewable energy and the environment. And the financing is actually tied to the property. When it was first introduced, PACE programs, the design allowed for the loan to sit with the actual property and stay with the property after the sale and resale of the property. That turned out to be not the best design for the program, and since then, the program has changed so that at the sale of a property, PACE loans are paid off going forward. So a little bit more about PACE loans. PACE loans are based, as I mentioned, on the equity of the property and not the property owner's credit rating. And so this is important, too, because it allows for lower interest rates available to customers regardless of their credit history. Because of that, their PACE lenders are able to offer fixed terms and fixed interest rates for the term of the loan. One of the important factors of PACE loans is that they apply only to the property enhancements being made. So, for example, if a homeowner receives a PACE loan to upgrade their HVAC unit, their air conditioning unit, and the air conditioning unit has a useful life of 10 years, you're not going to get a PACE loan for 20 years. It'll be limited to the term of the useful life of the product. And that's really important so that you don't have financing that goes beyond the useful life of a product. And then I did want to also mention that these do differ from seconds or home equity line of credits in that there's no prepayment penalty. And so that's an advantage too. So at the time of sale, if you sell your home, you don't have that prepayment penalty tied to this type of loan. So a little bit on the consumer protections, because I know that this has been a concern in the past, and there have been a lot of pieces of legislation that have provided some provisions for a lot of the concerns around PACE lending. And a little bit of history as well. In 2009, we authorized Placer County's PACE program, Empower, and some of you may recall this, for our community. And we only authorized one PACE provider at that time in an effort to ensure that our community had a program with high standards and some controls there. Since then, there have been several pieces of legislation that passed to increase the consumer protections around PACE lending across the board. And so I've noted some of them here, and they include protections against losses due to default, the know before you owe, so there are a lot of information that goes out to the customer before they engage with the lender. And sign on these. In addition, there's rights to cancel protections, so that for these particular loans, the applicant has the right to rescind the loan 3 days after the loan is signed. Ability to pay is important as well. There's research that goes into the qualifications of the customer and their ability to repay this. Even though it is tied to the equity on the property, we want to make sure that the lender or the provisions have been put in place to ensure that the borrower has the means to pay back these loans. Also, contractor oversight and training. It's required for PACE lending contractors that are participating in this program. Additionally, the phone calls that with the customer where they're sharing all this information are being recorded, and so there's oversight on that. And speaking of oversight, I want to say it was in 2011, the federal government placed the Department of Financial Protections and Innovation over PACE programs to provide oversight and regulation on them. And since doing that, the PACE program administrators were required to receive licenses to participate. In addition, contractors have to be registered and licensed as well. And so I point these things out because there's a lot of provisions that have been put in place to ensure that the consumers are not engaging in these types of loans fraudulently or without notice. And that was a concern of ours in the past, and I realize it's been a concern. So I just wanted to mention that. I also want to talk about some of the benefits. By authorizing PACE programs, administrators to operate in Roseville, we're giving our residents and businesses access to low-income options, low-income financing options for their residents and for their businesses and homes. PACE loans are limited to projects that improve the property with upgrades on energy efficiency, as I mentioned, water conservation, electric vehicle charging, and additionally, seismic retrofitting and fire resiliency. So these are valuable loans to be had, but they're not the type of loan similar to other types of financing where the customer can just go out and use that for, let's say, the purchase of an automobile or vacation or something like that. These are specifically tied to upgrades on the property. By having access to PACE loans, we give our residents and our businesses options when it comes to making enhancements to their properties. And this is important, particularly now as the economy, we're starting to see interest rates rise for loans from our financial institutes. These loans are generally lower. They're currently now around 7.9%. Which is better than you can get for a home equity line of credit or a second on your property. So I wanted to also point out that there are a number of California cities that have opened up their territory to PACE lenders. And the list is actually longer for California, but I reduced it down to cities that have municipal utilities like ourselves. And so you can see that other cities are recognizing the benefits that these types of loans provide for their community. And with that, I want to pause there to see if there's any questions before we go into the request.
Any questions of staff?
I just had a couple. Can a person, how do they pay off their loan? Is it only when it's sold, the house is sold, or could they pay off earlier?
So they pay off with their property tax. So you'll actually see it's a addition to their property tax. Yes.
Okay.
And it'll be paid off for the term of that actual loan. So if it's a 10-year loan, but we have an expert here, and he can kind of.
So when you get your tax bill, it'll be on it. So that's when you pay.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. The loan is paid annually, or if you'd like, you can impound and pay it with your mortgage each month, which is how most of our clients with mortgages will pay. If you'd like to pay off, you can pay off at any time you like. You can just request a payoff statement, and then move forward. You can do that out of proceeds, out of escrow for the sale or refinance of your property as well.
Okay, so you have some options.
Yes, absolutely.
And then there was some kind of comment of helping seniors. What does that mean?
That's correct. We have what's called our Senior Plus program, which is for applicants and clients over 75 years of age. We do a second confirmed terms call where we speak with the homeowner and potentially one of their financial advisors or a trusted member of their community and of home family in order to go over the terms. And we'll do that again just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And we do record that phone call for clarity's sake and to make sure that everybody understands that this is a lien on your property, that just like a HELOC or a second, and you'll need to pay that off, be prepared to pay that off at sale or refi. and that this is how much your payment's going to be. This is the term. This is the interest rate, which are both fixed, so that won't fluctuate. And any of the other pertinent information. Those phone calls typically last about anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes longer. Okay. So it's a very, it's helped to solve a lot of problems. Folks historically in 2012, 13, 14, you would hear folks that maybe didn't understand what they was signed up for. That has been solved legislatively. This is not an option for folks. This is required by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation here in California.
Good. Okay.
And I believe seniors also get a few more days to cancel.
Yes, and let me clarify that. They do get 5 days of right of rescission, but the truth is that let's say you've because the contractor's not paid until the work is actually completed and the homeowner has signed off on it, really any time up until that point, if somebody's like, let's say they get a bonus and they're like, you know what, I want to pay cash for this instead, that's fine. As long, and even if they've recorded, you can still pay it off the next day if you like. So they do have by law 3 days, and super seniors at the seniors plus at 75 plus, they have 5 days. But in reality, if you'd like to get out of your contract, we're not going to make you do it. You're welcome to go ahead and cancel.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I know PACE program in the past, it seemed like there was a real big hassle at the sale of a house, that it was a hassle for the realtors, or a hassle for the buying person. But this sounds like something's changed, that you have to pay it off, the seller pays it off, so the buyer has no issue with it. Is that's what's
correct.
different?
And I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm actually a realtor by trade. I've been licensed even here in California for many, many years. And I was hired by the PACE industry because of my real estate background to help educate realtors, and that's what I did. And one of the tasks that we had was, how do we make this easier? And at the end of the day, it was, historically, before 2015, we were telling people this could transfer with the property. Well, what we realized is, even though by the letter of the law you can do that, the market had a different idea about it. FPFA came out and said, we're not going to originate new loans with this, different PACE assessments on the property. And so what we did is we said collectively, all right, let's just go ahead and tell everybody that you need to be prepared to pay this off at the time of sale or refi. That problem went away almost overnight. The idea that when you set expectations, those can be very difficult to overcome once you go to sell your property and you thought that one thing was going to happen and another thing would. So we just solved that problem. And so that, honestly, we have most of the realtor organizations have gone neutral in terms of their opinion on PACE. Certainly the ones that have accepted our education and have kept up with the legislation, understand the rules and what we're bound by state law today, which does include telling people they need to be prepared to pay off. So yes, that is an issue that we can proudly say we have overcome.
And one follow-up question: if we vote to allow this, down the road, if there's pushback on this and it seems to be a problem, can we vote to undo it again? What's our legal obligation at this point?
Absolutely. You can always rescind the resolution if the council decides that. I will tell you that the data is supporting a very positive trend right now. Like, for example, in the last 2021, we had a 1.37% complaint rate according to DFPI data. At that same time period, mortgages are 16.17. So we're really going in the right direction. There were almost no foreclosures at all. We actually have forbearance programs. We're doing everything we can to, now that we've really had an opportunity to understand the market and how our product reacts in it and how we can best serve our customers and our municipal partners here. This is what we've done. Lots of legislation, lots of changes, and it's been extremely successful in helping to rectify any of those issues that we have seen in the past.
In summary, the beauty of this program is I could choose to add solar, add a new HVAC system, XYZ that's environmentally fits this clean energy thing, and I can't afford to do it, but this can allow me to afford to do it through the loan by sticking it into my mortgage or whatever. That's the beauty of it, right, is people can upgrade without having to have...
Can't afford it, we're probably hesitant to allow to move forward with financing.
We do allow me to finance it then, at least.
We do an ability to pay test that's required by the state and it's mandated by the state. So assuming that you have the ability to pay, but maybe you don't have the credit, maybe you're for whatever reason, that's become an issue, but you have equity in your property, and the ability to repay the assessment, then that is the advantage of this. You'll get a longer term. The alternatives for lower credit score folks are very, very expensive. Bordering on
your credit
usury,
card or something,
right?
yeah.
Credit cards and payday loans, light streams and the SoFis, all the whatnot, which are great for certain things. But when you're looking at larger items like a HVAC, they're shorter terms, they're higher interest rates, and ours is right now, you try getting a HELOC for less than 11 or 12%. And we're at 7.99, which is just about on par with what the Fed's at. So,
thanks.
This provides additional options for our customers, or our residents, for financing their projects. And I wanted to point out that the Empower program run by Placer County's Pioneer Energy, actually, discontinued in August of 2021. And so since then, our community has not had access to PACE loans. And that's one of the reasons why we're bringing it forward, to open that up for our community.
and if I may, we do have one of our industry colleagues, Renew Financial, actually has one of their offices here with, I think, 30 or 40 people in the city of Roseville. So I know they'd be also very pleased to have the city of Roseville as one of their cities to offer. So we certainly look forward to making a positive impact and appreciate your time and your questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, between staff and Councilman Alvord, all my questions have been answered.
Okay. I will open this up to public comment. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to comment on this item? Then come forward now. Good evening.
Berlusconi, members of the City Council, Nick Alexander on behalf of the 4,500 local members of the Placer County Association of Realtors. Our membership has concerns regarding the consumer disclosure element of PACE programs that are documented in my letter to Mr. Bradford. These issues regarding PACE programs historically have been documented statewide and are usually discovered late during the title and escrow process, and usually in down real estate markets. We're pleased that there have been some changes, so we're pleased about that. But it's our opinion that if the city grants financing authorization for PACE, it also must make sure that its residents are afforded the same consumer disclosures that were afforded in the county's former Empower program. While the association is not in favor of PACE programs due to the inherent issues they create for homeowners wishing to sell or refinance, we will not stand in opposition if the city makes sure the appropriate consumer disclosures are in place as part of the financing documents that PACE provides the residents seeking financing, and the city maintains its ability to discipline and or withdraw contracts for bad actors. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members. Robbie Bendorf, resident here in Roseville. Pretty familiar with the PACE programs over the years, and just want to really throw in my support for making this adoption. Speaking as a resident, I mean, we're constantly being asked to save more water, especially in West Roseville, where I do see a lot of those improvements being made, which is really nice. But something I also notice is a lot of my neighbors, including myself, still have our original AC unit. And if you live in kind of the Wood Creek area, you notice, it's about 30 years old now. And although we live in a fantastic utility, love it, talk about it all the time, it is getting to the point where these units are end of life. And now with so many people working from home, my wife and I included, we're starting to see the energy bill rise, and the option to make energy efficiency improvements and to finance them is really just, I think, a great choice for the city, and I would just fully support it. So, yeah, and here to answer any questions, yeah.
Thank you.
And I must say, too, I work in government affairs, and this is my first time presenting to my own council, which is really, really good for me. So.
Do you want a photo?
I've taken a few from the back, and I've filled in my bubble, so good luck on everyone's election,
Yeah,
too.
we're glad you're here. Thanks for your comment.
Of course.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to comment on this item? If not, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the council for further deliberation, or if there are no other comments.
Well, I'm happy to see that they have a lot of disclosures. That was my concern, and that people have a chance to a second thought or pay it off right away or do it, once a year or whatever, but not just find out at the end. And not that I wouldn't say find out, they probably knew, but it's, years pass by and they are not thinking about it, which they should be thinking about it all the time. But I think I feel comfortable with the disclosures. I also feel comfortable that if we really had a problem or issues, it could be brought back to council.
Great. Anything else?
I'm a little confused on the disclosure piece that Mr. Alexander brought up. Is that not part of the program? Is he wanting something different than what's already in the program?
Initially, those were the concerns with PACE programs in general. And like I mentioned, since then, the several pieces of legislation that have passed have tightened up those requirements.
That's been cleaned up.
So they've all been addressed. And actually, the list of issues that he had emailed me, we went through them one by one, and the legislation and the practices today address all those issues.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I just want to get that
Thank
clear.
you. We're ready for a motion.
Can I get a motion to approve?
PACE program.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, so what's before the council tonight is they will consider adopting, you all will consider adopting Resolution 22-402, consenting to the inclusion of properties within the territory of the city in the CSCDA Open PACE programs, authorizing the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to accept applications from property owners, conduct contractual assessment proceedings, and levy contractual assessments within the territory of the city, and authorizing related actions, and adopt also Resolution Number 22-403, consenting to the inclusion of the commercial, industrial, and agricultural properties within the city's jurisdiction in the Golden State Finance Authority Community Facilities District Number 2014-1 for clean energy, and to finance renewable energy improvements, energy efficiency and water conservation improvements, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, seismic retrofitting, fire prevention, and other improvements, and approving associate membership in the Joint Exercise of Powers Authority related thereto. If I can get a motion to approve, please.
And one more resolution.
Oh,
There's a lot.
sorry. And adopt a resolution number 22-404, consenting to inclusion of commercial, industrial, and agricultural properties within the city's jurisdiction in the Golden State Finance Authority program to finance renewable energy generation, energy and water efficiency improvements, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, seismic retrofitting, fire prevention, and other improvements, and approving associate memberships in the Joint Exercise of Powers Authority related thereto. Motion, please. I have a motion on the
Second.
floor. Thank you. Motion on the first motion made by Councilmember Alver with a second by Councilmember Rakucci. We'll do our roll call with Vice Mayor Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza is excused. Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
Thank you.
passes.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to item 9.1, which we will be making an appointment to the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Yes, thank you. So tonight before you, you have a selection of 3 individuals who applied to the EDAC committee. Those individuals' names are Eric Avery, Angela Tsukiji, and Matthew Van Leeuwen. You will only have an opportunity to select 2. You do have ballots in front of you. If you could please place your name on the ballot and forward them to me, please. Thank you.
Just a reminder, we need to take public comment before.
Thank you very much. I will open this item up to public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to this item? 9.1, you can come forward. If not, we'll close public comment.
Thank you. So selection by Mayor Bernasconi is Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji. Next, we have Councilmember Rakucci selecting Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji. Then we have Councilmember Alvord with selection of Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji. And last but not least, Vice Mayor Haldeshelt with a selection of Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji. We do have 4 and 4. So both Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji have been selected. If I can get a motion to approve both of those individuals to the EDAC committee.
So moved. Motion.
Second.
No, I'll be the second, you be the motion maker.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Rakucci with a second by Vice Mayor Haldeshelt. We'll do our roll call with Vice Mayor Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza is excused. Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Congratulations to Mr. Eric Avery and Angela Tsukiji.
Yes, and thanks to the other who applied too. All right, I will open up to one last public comment. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to comment on any item not on the agenda? Now's your time to do so. Okay, we don't see anybody. I'll close public comment, bring it back to the council and staff for final comments. Our city attorney, Michelle, do you have any comments?
Nope,
questions?
nothing from me. Thank you.
Our city manager, John Casey.
No further reports, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Rakucci, you have any comments for us?
Just a couple. This week was had a lot of activity. I went Monday, and I think some of the other council members did also. I saw Councilmember Albert there, to West Park, and it was a presentation by Placer County by Supervisor Gore and Wygant, and the subject was called Crops and Cul-de-sacs, and it was a real interesting talk about the interface between residential and agriculture. And they also had the agricultural commissioner there, and talking about the economy of agriculture in Placer County, which is over $100 million a year, and the opportunity of having open space in Placer County. And so that was very interesting. They had displays there. They had displays on from Sierra College on agriculture and classes that you could take in agriculture. They had things from PCWA on miners' inches and how you water. Mosquito abatement. Janayo's auction was talking about different food products. There was a lot of interesting presentations prior to the display, the shows that was on. It was actually in person, or you can watch it like on Zoom. And I thought they did a pretty good job. There's question answer period. People were interested in things like pesticides and how would that affect water if it was in the air, and a couple other main questions like that. A lot of the talking, they had some questions, and I think they had other questions that people weren't able to answer, but they could get back and contact the county. But I thought it was really a good opportunity because there's a lot of growth in West Placer. That's Placer County. You'll be seeing there's a lot of gradient occurring now, and I think this is kind of an excellent topic to keep everybody abreast on. We also had today, it's called Placer Valley 2022, and it was a really good program with a lot of different panel speakers and guest speakers on our area, and it was put on by the Chambers of Commerce from Auburn, Lincoln, Loomis, Roseville, and it was called Accelerating Prosperity Through Collaborative Leadership, and I think the presentations that I saw, a lot of collaborative leadership and how working with the community and businesses, your residents, and other cities really make a difference, and that's what makes Placer County unique and different and good.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline, for mentioning the crops and cul-de-sacs. The rural-urban interface is really important, not just here in Placer County, but throughout the Sacramento Valley. And I saw a couple of folks that I represent there in agriculture, and a walnut grower, and somebody who owns a significant acreage and irrigated pasture. Yesterday, the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency met in a special session and unanimously approved the appointment of Matthew Click as the next executive director for the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency. He'll begin on November 14th. Mike Lukens served for, feels like, 5 years in that role. There'll be overlap between Mike and Matthew. Matthew's got an extensive background from Florida, California, Virginia, and he will be an incredible asset to the agency as we move forward. And then next week we have law and regulation. We'll hear from our staff what the governor signed and what the landscape looks like going forward. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Councilmember
Alvern.
Just a couple short things. I got to attend a Placer Land Trust event last night, and Placer Land Trust is a really neat organization that purchases and provides legal services for people that like to do that, but they purchase property out in the rural areas so they can keep it preserved in perpetuity oftentimes. And it was kind of neat just learning more about the program, and they were having a fundraiser and celebrating some of their successes. And also, Mayor, you kind of look like you're a year older when we saw you last. And
It's a pandemic. We've all, we're...
Vice Mayor Haddishelt reminded us, and as you know, we got you a little gift there, but we want to all wish you a happy birthday. Thank you so much for serving as our mayor. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We all look older since 2020, right? See people you haven't seen in a while. Today, like Placer Valley 2022, see people we haven't seen in a while. It's like, wow, it's been a few years. I'll leave it at that. So just a few things to report on. Thank you for the card, and thank you for my colleagues. I appreciate that. It's very nice. As you know, some of you, I was in attendance last week at the Metro Chamber's study mission that consists of 6 different counties that the Metro Chamber represents, and it was 4 days of just a study of what that city does well and lessons learned as it relates to transportation and arts and homeless, and they have a whole port there in San Diego, and so that was really interesting about how the port interacts with the city. And there's a coastal commission, lots of regulations there, but there are some really great takeaways that I'll be sharing with my colleagues. I want to thank Vice Mayor Haddishelt. He's going to stand in for me tomorrow at the SACOG meeting. The city manager and I will be at the Roseville Leadership class tomorrow, just talking about the inner workings of council and government and what that looks like. They've asked that I give a brief summary of what I did for the state of the city, so the top reasons about what makes Roseville Roseville. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Thank you for helping me out there. And all of us were at the Placer Valley 2022 today, which was a collaboration of the South Placer region, and I always think that those types of events, like the SAC Metro program last week, it gives us an opportunity to see and talk with many people that it would take us years to do if we never ever left our office. And so those are really productive conversations. I know a number of us will be at the groundbreaking for Placer One on Friday, 10 a.m. at the north end of Wood Creek Oaks, and followed by a Sac State luncheon there. So I know there's probably a bunch of other things, but
aren't you drawing blood later this month?
Oh yeah, thank you. So
speaking of regionalism,
I have teamed up with a couple council members in our neighboring cities. Giving blood is free, and it's a great way to help. And it's going to be the Friday before Halloween, so we thought that would be fitting at the mall at noon to 4, and there are spots available, but I'm sure they will take you if you just show up. And then great excuse to buy something, I guess. So thank you for the reminder. With that, I will...
Mayor, I've got to say, you're spooktacular. That's what it was called, spooktacular. I saw it. I thought it was really cool. I signed up. I'm at 1 o'clock.
Oh, thank you.
And so was Richard. So both of us are coming at 1 o'clock.
Excellent, yes. And say,
if you want to hear this, it'll be my first time, his 400th time.
Really? Your first time as a nurse?
I know. I always hang it.
You take the blood, yes.
I take the blood. Now I'm going to give the blood.
Okay, I like it. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, there's all sorts of spooktacular, and we want your blood, and all kinds of like politics is a blood sport, and so. With that, I would like to adjourn us. We'll be back here the first Wednesday, 6 p.m. in November, and we'll see you all then. Thank you very much.
We're here on November 2nd. Yeah.